2 seasons ago, the Philadelphia Eagles made a miraculous Super Bowl run fueled by Jalen Hurts and an MVP type season, and they were on track to do the exact same thing last year, but it seems the team lost their identity later in the season. I believe they lost 7 of their last 8 games, including a blowout loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the playoffs. Going into this season, there were a ton of question marks about where this team would be. There was obvious reported beef between Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, the head coach. I just did not think that this was going to be a functional team that was ready to compete for the playoffs. But this season, the Eagles have done exactly that. They have won the last 6 games that they've played. I think they're on a 6-game winning streak right now. And I am giving the credit to Saquon Barkley, of course. This guy's playing out of his mind. 255 yards and 2 touchdowns versus the Rams. Nuts game, by the way. I am giving some of the credit, though, to Kellen Moore. Now, a couple of seasons ago, Kellen Moore was let go from the Cowboys being the offensive coordinator, and I was really questioning that. I thought Kellen Moore was one of the best offensive minds in football, but maybe he was just the scapegoat for the Cowboys' postseason woes. The 49ers playoff game a couple seasons ago where you saw Zeke at center on the last play of the game. They were trying to do some kind of crazy flea flicker or something, or lateral play. It just did not look good, and Kellen Moore took the fall for that. He goes to the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Chargers offense looked competent, but they dealt with a lot of injuries. After the Chargers' entire coaching staff was fired last season, including Kellen Moore, he was on the look for a job again. He finds it in Philadelphia, and here we are with the Eagles. They have looked absolutely incredible throughout the last 6 games, and I'm giving a lot of credit to Kellen Moore for 2 different reasons. One, he seemed to have solved Jalen Hurts' issue with turnovers and scoring efficiently. He has looked so much better. He's averaging around 240 yards per game. He's throwing like 16, 17, 18 touchdowns, and he's only had a couple of turnovers so far this year. I think that the Eagles have looked amazing on offense. They've really hit their stride in the last 6 games. They're averaging over 30 points and over 400 yards of offense a game. That's on pace to be the best in the league. Now, of course, when you look at the beginning of this season, you think, well, the Eagles didn't look that great, but they were dealing contextually with a lot of injuries. A.J. Brown missed some time. Devontae Smith missed a lot of time. And when you take away your number 1 and number 2 receiver, your quarterback might struggle a little bit. Now, Dallas Goedert didn't. He was having a great time. But A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith now back. Just A.J. Brown back. Devontae Smith on his way back. Saquon Barkley playing, of course, in his prime. By the way, if you're the New York Giants, what a feels-bad moment to watch this guy just continuously tear it up over and over and over again. He's going to be the offensive player of the year. But the main thing that I want to talk about in this video is the evolution of Kellen Moore. I think the number 1 critique of Moore in his time as an offensive coordinator in the NFL was his offense too good? Were they scoring too quickly? Is that even possible? Personally, I think it is. I think it is unbelievably important to have long sustained drives that still end up scoring. Of course, if you've got a 10-play drive that's 5 minutes and you get no points, then that drive meant nothing. But the point that I'm trying to make here is the Eagles are playing unbelievably efficient football that is also taking time of possession. And this is the key stat that I want to talk about. With Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator, let's look at where their teams ranked in time of possession. In his first season with Dallas, they ranked 18th. Next season, 27th. The next season, 19th. The next season, 22nd. Those are his 4 years in Dallas. He averaged around the 23rd ranked in time of possession. With the Los Angeles Chargers, they ranked 27th in the NFL. This season with the Eagles, they are at number 4 in time of possession. That means that they are just soaking up time. And when you watch them last night versus the Rams, they did exactly that in the fourth quarter until the floodgates opened and Saquon Barkley busted a run for 70 yards and a touchdown to put them up 37-13. Absolutely phenomenal performance from the Eagles, and I think it has a lot to do with this time of possession stat. If you watch the opposing defense that plays the Eagles, they come out guns blazing in the first couple of quarters, but by the time that this Eagles offensive line has pounded them over and over and over again, and Saquon Barkley is busting out 30-yard runs, hitting reverse hurdles, you think there's no way that this defense can keep this up throughout the game. And that's exactly right. The opposing defenses look extremely worn down and exhausted by the end of the game. And this is right back to where the Eagles were a couple of seasons ago with Jalen Hurts and DeAndre Swift. That team looked incredible. I'm sorry, not DeAndre Swift. Miles Sanders. That team looked unbelievably incredible. I thought that the Eagles did a great job replacing that offense, adding Saquon Barkley in the offseason. Howie Long, by the way, just unbelievable. Not Howie Long. The Eagles GM. I'm choking on who that is off the top of my head. I'll be Googling it here in just a second. But he has done a great job of filling the Eagles up with so many star caliber players. And it's not just by drafting them. Of course, he hits on a draft pick like Devontae Smith. But he has made some massive trade acquisitions, like getting Hassan Reddick last season, who tore it up for the Eagles. And then he did a good job of letting him go, acquiring draft assets, and then continuing to pursue players like Saquon Barkley. I think that that's what the Eagles' secret sauce is. They continue to evolve and change and not try to keep the same offensive strategy over and over and over again. I think that acquiring Saquon Barkley, Howie Roseman, by the way, GM, Howie Roseman, one of the best GMs in the NFL, has done a great job. And one of the things that the Eagles do is they change their philosophy throughout the season. Not necessarily their identity, but the scheme that they're trying to run. They went from a quarterback power system last year to giving the ball to a premier bell cow back and letting him go to work. We haven't seen the Eagles do that since they had LaShawn McCoy. And so the credit I want to give here, of course, is to Saquon Barkley, one of the best running backs in the league, probably the best running back in the league. And then I want to give the credit to Kellen Moore for properly using the weapons that are of use to him throughout the season, regardless of injury. He does a great job of keeping things fresh, keeping the opposing defense on their toes, and then soaking up that time of possession. Brilliant job. I think the Eagles actually are the Super Bowl favorite from the NFC. I love the Lions. I really like what the Vikings are doing and a couple of these other NFC teams. But the way the Eagles are playing football right now, it's kind of unmatched. I don't necessarily think that the Lions' gimmick style offense is going to serve them well in the postseason. Of course, they did make the NFC Championship last year. But if you ask me who I thought was a better team, the Eagles 2 seasons ago in that Super Bowl run or the Detroit Lions this past season, I would give the edge to the Philadelphia Eagles that made the Super Bowl. And in my opinion, this Philadelphia Eagles team this season is a better team than that Super Bowl run. That's just, I guess, a pleasant freezing cold take. So cold that it's boiling hot. But that's where I stand. All of the credit to Saquon Barkley and Kellen Moore for making this offense unbelievably better, fixing the problems from last season. Let me know if you think the Eagles are a better team this year than the past couple of seasons. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.